If you are in a position where you're not sure whether to rent your property as a family let or HMO, house in multiple occupation, this video is for you. One of my investors just contacted me that we've got a property that we're looking to rent out, but she's not sure whether to do it as a family let or as a HMO, house in multiple occupation. In essence, renting the property on a room by room basis instead of renting it to a family. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to analyze the deal to make a decisive decision to whether to rent it to a family or to rent the property in a room by room basis. I have not predetermined this analysis. She literally just sent it over to me, and it'll be a good experience for me to share with you how I analyze my deals and make decisions based on my due diligence and my analysis. For those who don't know me, my name is Rahim. I started my property investment journey just over 8 years ago. I was in a job where I was undervalued, underappreciated, going nowhere. I took a leap of faith to start my investment journey with little money by renting properties out from landlords. I subsequently rent those properties out, and then the money I made from those properties I used to buy my own investment properties, and I was able to build that to a multi-million pound property investment portfolio. I now help investors like this investor now to use property as a vehicle to make recurring income. So if you want to know how to make a decision whether to rent a property as a family let or a HMO, this video is for you. So let's jump onto the computer to learn how we could actually make a decision on this deal. Let's get to it. So backstory here. The investor's already got an agent. An agent have approached her and told her that she could rent the property for £1,200. And the property is a 3-bedroom, 2 reception rooms and a kitchen dining area. So our intention is to convert one of the sitting room downstairs into a bedroom to give us 4 lettable rooms in order to try to see if we can maximize the income that way. Alternatively, we will rent the whole house to one family. They pay us that rent. So the agent has promised £1,200. Okay, let me check my phone now what the investor gave me here. The investor's mortgage interest payment is 660.78, and then her insurance is £28. Okay, so we've got that information, but what we now want to do first is to look at it on a HMO perspective. So what you want to do first is to look at how much people are willing to pay for a property like that. Okay, so we're going to go to a platform called SpareRoom. SpareRoom is one of the biggest platforms in the UK that would allow private landlords to rent their property per room. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at where that property is at. Again, the investor's giving us the postcode, and this is the postcode here, 5ER. So what we now do, we're going to go in and search for rooms to let in that postcode just to see how much people are renting their properties. And obviously it's important for us to look for demand as well, because knowing how much properties are going for is important, as well as knowing how many properties are there in the first place, knowing that you're able to rent your property. So the first thing we can see here, obviously we've got 105 bedrooms advertised in this specific area. Then obviously we've got 2-bedroom flat there. We've got that there. We have 1 bedroom to let here. That room is going for £500 in a 3-bedroom house. Okay, and then actually let's filter this to just double rooms so that we can have only double rooms here. Okay, so well, that did not work. So £500 there for 1 double room. There's another one here also for 525, and then there's another double room here, all bills inclusive, for 850, 740, 500 and got that, 750, £600, £575. So basically, in essence, we know we are able to rent that property for a minimum of £525 per bedroom. Okay, so we write that down somewhere. I've got my piece of paper here, by the way, if you're wondering what am I writing on. So I've got that there. So now we know we may be able to rent it for a minimum of £525. Okay, so what we now going to do here, we now know there are 101 bedrooms available here. So we want to know what the demand is like. Gonna search again. We know we have over 1,000 people looking for bedrooms to rent. Obviously, there's a massive demand here, okay? So meaning we're not gonna struggle to let that property out. Brilliant. So now, moving on then to analyzing the deal. So we're gonna say, okay, now let's look at the HMO strategy, right? We now know we can rent it for a minimum of 525. We now know there's a demand in that area for bedrooms like that or for houses like that. We're now going to see how much are we going to be able to make. So if we are renting each bedroom for 525 and we've got 4 bedrooms, that gives us £2,100 per month. Obviously, the investors told us how much their monthly mortgage payment is. I'm looking at my note here, £660. Okay, £660. That's what they going to pay for their mortgage. And then obviously property like this, looking at your light and heat and all the other expenses, you're looking at £570 minimum on running it, because when it comes to HMO, you pay the bills as a landlord in most cases. So we're going to factor that to be £570. And then obviously we have the insurance that she said she pays, which is £28. That then gives us a net profit of £842 per calendar month if we rent all the bedrooms out. So if you're looking at that in 12-month time, you're talking about £10,104. So that's how much we are looking to get if we were to rent the property as a HMO. Okay, I hope that is making sense. So the next thing that we want to do is to analyze it on a buy-to-let basis, which means renting it to a family, and then we just let the family to live in that property without doing anything else. The thing to note here is the agent has already told us we can get £1,200 for that property by renting it to a family. So now what we want to do, we want to verify what the agent said, isn't it? Because we don't want them just to get us excited, and then when it comes to the real thing, we're not making money there. Okay, so what we're now going to do, we're going to do a quick due diligence, especially we know the postcode. So we're going to put the postcode here, M5. Okay, so now we've got that postcode there. Let's just look about a mile away. How much these houses have been rented for before. We know it's a terrace house and it is a 3-bedroom house, and let's have a search. Okay, that's one there, 5-bedroom for £700, but that I suspect to be for a bedroom. You see, it is for a bedroom, £700 for a bedroom. Okay, and then we've got one there going for 2,200 for 3-bedroom, 2,985, 1,300, 1,900, 1,800, 1,250, which is what the other agent was saying. So the agent is kind of right in this case that he could get it for 1,200 easy. But now because we know he may be able to rent it more than that price, we could even increase what we expect him to rent our property if we were to go for a family let, okay? If we were to go for a family let, so we're going to ask him to rent that property for £1,300. Let's now see how much we can make from renting the property as a family let. Okay, so we're going to go back here. So we're going to analyze it as a buy-to-let property. So we're going to come here. We know we are able to rent that property for a minimum of £1,300. Okay, £1,300, that would be our gross rental income. And then what we now going to do, that we know the investor is paying £660 on her interest mortgage, on her mortgage interest payment. And then obviously we know our insurance was £28. And we're gonna put maintenance at about £50 aside as well. And then obviously the agent agency fees, which is 10%. That then gives us a total expense of £868 and a net profit of £432 every single month. Here's the thing, it's a good return on investment. Still, you're making £400 because we have a rule of thumb: if you're investing in the north or Wales, we're looking for minimum of £300 to £400 every single month on a family let buy-to-let property. So looking at that, she's making £432. That's not bad investment, okay? And if you times that by 12, you're talking about £5,184. As I was saying, it's a very, very good investment. But however, looking at the analysis now and looking at the situation of the property and the location of that property and the demand that is going on in that investment area, it is clearly a no-brainer to rent that property out on a HMO basis, because on a HMO basis, you're making double the amount you would have made from renting it as a family let. And that also is, we've reduced our rental income drastically by saying we're renting each room for £525, where we know we can rent it up to £600 or £700. Okay, so this then gives you the idea of how to make a decision whether to rent a property on a HMO basis or on a family-led basis. But there are a few things you need to be thinking about here. Looking at a family let, obviously you need to know that the property is in a good location, very accessible to schools, traveling and all that sort of thing as well, making sure that you're making that sort of return. But when it comes to HMO, the most important thing you want to be looking at is whether there is a demand for HMO in that investment area. No matter how big the property is, whether it's 4, 5, 6 or 7 bedrooms, knowing the demand of that specific area is what helps you make the decision, because the figures may be good on paper, or in this case on the computer, but in real life it's not the case because there's no demand there. But with the analysis we've just done, there is a demand in that investment area, and we've also reduced the rental income as well. So now let's look at then what would be the realistic amount we may be able to rent a single bedroom in that property. In essence, one room in that property. So we're going to go back here. We're not going to go for the 525 anymore. Let's now say, okay, we rent that property, let's say for £600. Okay, let me go back and filter it. Let's say now we're not renting that property for 500 or 525 or 850. You know, we've got 750 there. Let's say we're only renting it for £600. So if we are renting that property, each bedroom for £600, let's say, for 3 of the bedrooms are double rooms, okay? Let's say 600 plus another 600. Let's say the last bedroom is a small bedroom, okay? Let's say it's a single room. Let's say then that then went for 525. So in essence, we are making £1,065 every single month by renting the property on a room by room basis. That is £12,800 every single year versus £5,184 a year if we were to rent that property as a family let. Again, let's go through the ambitious figures here as well. Suppose then we rent that property for a maximum of £1,500. Even at that point, as a family let, it would only make you £7,344 a year, and as a HMO, it's making you £12,800. Again, nearly double the amount. Now, the thing to note here is, if you're having a HMO property with 4 tenants living in the property, it's as if you've got 4 people to deal with. It takes you a little bit of time as well to kind of look after the property if you're doing it yourself and all that sort of thing. So knowing that you're managing 4 tenants instead of 1 tenant, but looking at the figures, it's worth managing 4 tenants if you're making £12,800 every single year from one single property. So looking at the analysis, looking at the due diligence, looking at the pros and cons, okay, and knowing that we're going to be managing 4 tenants, and knowing that if we rent it as a family rent, literally we don't have to worry about a lot of things there because there's only 1 person. But looking at the returns that we're going to get plus the demand in that investment area, it would only make sense to rent that property as a HMO property. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to ring the investor and walk her through the figures and tell her, look, it is really better to rent the property on a HMO basis instead of renting it as a family let. I really hope this video have shined a light on how to make a decision whether to rent a property on a room by room basis or rent it to a family. If you like this video or any of my videos, hit the like button below, subscribe to my channel for more amazing videos. I look forward to sharing the next one. Thank you.